So that's boxing at its finest right there. You heard it. They said it make that bad. Everything on the line. You know, that's old school right there. That's everything on the line.
Y'all getting the last little bit of Gervonta that y'all gonna see. I'm gonna make sure I do what I'm supposed to so I can be the best I can. Me and the stuff that I've been through in my past and the trouble and things like that, and don't want to keep saying, but my mom and dad was on drugs and things like that. I fought mad times in the streets and the gym. Just to see that I'm at this level and see that it's possible. You know what I mean? Everything I dreamed of is actually coming true. All this is paying off. That's another reason why I have to win this fight. People close to me, people that's coming up behind me. I feel as though Manny want to show them that anything is possible. You know what I mean? No matter where you come from.
Before the cameras arrive, before the arena lights burn hot, before the commentators start building stories in real time, there's always a quieter chapter nobody talks about. The return to discipline. Right now, that's where Gervonta Davis seems to be living. Back inside the gym, back beside Calvin Ford, back in the place where excuses don't survive and only work gets remembered.
At this moment, the time a newly released boxing coach and a kid from the streets spent together gains extra meaning. Both sought to redefine their story. The first steps taken toward today.
They might got me back in the kitchen again.
You know, Calvin, he been with me since I was 7. I used to sleep in Coach Calvin's house. I used to sleep at his job when he was working at a seafood restaurant in Baltimore.
When I had to train Tank, when I didn't want him to get in trouble and I wanted to make sure we was together, I used to take him to work with me. He'd chill. Everybody knew him. Everybody knew him at work.
Remember, Calvin used to fuss at the guys that was coming up with me, and they was in the streets a lot. He was telling them, you can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You gotta be, all the way in it. Focus on the goal, you know, and them guys, they went left, and unfortunately, they got killed.
You can sense when a fighter is training to maintain fame, and you can sense when he's training to reclaim something deeper. This feels like the second one. Tank looks sharper, lighter in his movement, heavier in purpose. The energy around him doesn't look flashy. It looks serious.
You weigh the odds out like that. Do you want him to go to jail or you want him to live? That's the whole idea. To come to the boxing gym.
If I ain't had the people I had around me, the people that started with me and things like that, I probably would have been off the scene for a long time. You know, I think that the people that I started with really keep me sane and keep me focused, because it's not just me that's fighting this battle, it's people that's with me, you know what I mean, that's walking with me day in and day out. What up, man?
We're gonna give you a piece.
Peace?
Just a piece, yeah?
All right, back.
Just cut a piece. Get the rest of your main man.
Is, man.
Yeah, just a little piece.
I'm gonna eat the whole thing.
Yo, we cleaned the plates with them, Jordan.
Okay.
It's banging, right?
Yeah, it don't taste too bad, man. Not bad.
They don't taste too bad, man.
You gonna eat the whole thing, right?
You know what I mean?
That's usually when dangerous things begin. After turbulence outside the ring, some fighters unravel, others simplify. They strip life down to road work before sunrise, rounds on the bag, drills until the lungs complain, then one more round anyway. Tank appears to be leaning into that version of himself now.
That lawnmower, that's that.
I don't want to lose. I hate losing. I know Tank hate losing. Lamont damn sure don't want to lose, so it's gonna make for a good fight, man.
But Davis is no mortal. He's a dominant force with an empire to solidify and expand. Hence, no rest, no break, no excuses.
You gotta remember, you need a performance of your life. The whole world will be watching this like
Oh, yeah.
Big stage, record audience, millions watching. For Tank, this is nothing new. But it's not exactly the same either, because he's never had such a treacherous opponent to prepare for.
Yeah, definitely jet lag, man. Felt my legs a little tired, everything was tired, you know, and even when you don't want to work, you gotta work, you know what I mean? So definitely Sam Ron today definitely gave me juice to get in there, because maybe or maybe he not, but 9 out of 10, he ain't go to the gym today, so I'm definitely ahead of him, so I pushed through it.
And that matters because the name being linked across from him is Shakur Stevenson at 140 pounds. That is not a fight you sleepwalk into. Shakur demands concentration every second. He punishes impatience, exposes laziness, and turns technical mistakes into long nights. So if Tank wants that challenge, raw power alone won't be enough. He'll need conditioning, discipline, timing, and the kind of mental calm that doesn't crack when rounds get complicated.
See some speed. You're like, yo, where the coming from? They're coming from different angles I ain't never seen.
Some fighters they good at what they do. Like they master at what they do, but they not complete fighters.
That's where Calvin Ford becomes critical again. He knows how to reach Tank beyond the gloves, how to steady the storm without removing the danger. And if that balance is real, then the division should be paying attention. Because a focused Tank is different from an active Tank. One shows up, the other arrives with intention. We've already seen what his explosiveness can do when he's distracted, half rhythm, operating on instinct. Imagine that same force sharpened by patience, guided by structure, fueled by something personal. That's when punchers become complete threats. That's when talent turns serious. If this reset is genuine, then the story isn't just Tank returning, it's Tank evolving. And for everyone standing at 140, that may be the worst possible timing. And while the gym footage tells us Gervonta Davis is rebuilding the body, Timothy Bradley just tried to explain the mind. And honestly, he said something cold: Tank is nocturnal. That's a wild label, but it fits. Some fighters start hot and fade like cheap fireworks. Tank does the opposite. He lets the room relax first, lets opponents think they're steering the fight. Then somewhere in the dark, he flips the switch and suddenly everybody remembers why exits were installed. Bradley's point about Tank giving up control to gain control later is elite stuff, because casual fans mistake patience for passivity.
He has the eye for that. He knows when the fighter's weakening. He knows when the fighter is starting to tire. He'll listen to their breathing. He can see certain signs to when he has to turn it up, and that's when it turns him up. That's when he steps on the gas pedal. Tank is a scary ass fighter because he can turn it up at any moment. Not many fighters can do that. Not turn it up at any moment.
Nah, that man is collecting data. He's reading your breathing, clocking your habits, noticing when your jab gets lazy, when your feet cross, when your confidence gets a little too loud. Then he charges interest on every mistake. That's why Tank knockouts feel like jump scares. You think the movie is slow, then boom, credits. Bradley also nailed how Tank fights at mid-range, the most uncomfortable neighborhood in boxing. Too close to relax, too far to smother, just enough space for pain to arrive on time. And when Tim says Tank can be first or second, that's the real danger. Some guys only cook if you bring ingredients. Tank can shop for himself.
Tank can go from having a low to having one of the greatest rounds of the fight. He has explosive combinations. They're quick, they're fast, they're accurate. He can be first. He likes to be second. He likes to be a counterpuncher. He likes his guys to open up. Again, I told you, he likes guys that make mistakes because he likes to fill those openings with his power shots.
But I like that Bradley didn't make it worship hour either. He pointed at the moments where durable guys like Isaac Cruz kept marching and forced Tank into Plan B. Important detail: if your power doesn't get instant respect, the fight becomes a conversation instead of a lecture. Still, Tank being forced to think might be worse news, because now you're dealing with a puncher who can solve puzzles. That's rude. Then Tim mentions the jab needing refinement, and I agree. If Tank ever commits to a consistently educated jab, that's like handing a shark better Wi-Fi. Unnecessary upgrade. Which brings us to Shakur Stevenson at 140. If that happens, this whole late starter style gets tested by a guy who hates giving free information. One man downloads habits, the other hides them. That's not a fight. That's chess with explosives.
Tank is scary, man. He's scary. Where is Tank? I feel Tank can be exposed when a guy is resolute, when he can't hurt you. It does something to him psychologically. Now, it won't stop him from trying to knock you out, but I can tell it does something to him psychologically when he hits you and you don't go anywhere. Tank is probably one of the most complete fighters in the game. He has just about everything.
And while Timothy Bradley broke down how dangerous Gervonta Davis is inside the ropes, Greg Hackett came in talking about how dangerous he is to the whole sport the moment he returns. And that's a different conversation entirely. Hackett basically says Tank coming back matters because when Tank fights, something happens. Not maybe, not possibly. Something. Somebody gets tested, somebody gets exposed, or somebody gets introduced to the canvas in dramatic fashion. That's star power mixed with hazard pay. I laughed when he said he hopes it's a good guy because that's boxing fan language for stop wasting our time and give us a real matchup. If it's Isaac Cruz again, cool, solid fight. But fans want curveballs now. They want names that make group chats explode. They want the announcement that ruins productivity for 3 days. Hackett also slipped in a truth people ignore. Tank raises everybody's profile. That's facts. Guys fight him and suddenly their interviews do numbers. Their clips circulate, their stock rises.
I mean, I'm just happy Tank coming back. Tank's exciting. All the guys are exciting, but Tank is always a big question mark when Tank get in the ring. Is somebody about to get knocked the fuck out? You know what I mean? I just hope it's a good guy. But I can say I'm happy to see Tank putting a foot forward, at least get back in the ring. You know what I mean?
Some fighters sell tickets. Tank creates side quests for entire careers. Then he touched on the outside noise, and I respected the restraint. Wait for facts. Don't play internet judge. Don't build a courthouse out of hashtags. That's rare maturity in a world where people turn rumors into documentaries overnight. But back to boxing, because Hackett's real point was economics. The sport needs attractions, and Tank is one of them. Love his style or hate it, when his name hits a poster, the room gets louder. And inactivity changes things. Time off can sharpen hunger or rust timing. Sometimes both show up in the same round. That's why this return is fascinating. If Tank comes back locked in, sharper, meaner, focused, then the division has a problem with gloves on. If he comes back casual, somebody bold might try to write their own headline. Either way, Hackett's warning lands. Tank doesn't just return to boxing cards, he returns to consequences. So now the only question is who wants to volunteer for the experiment?
Tank has an effect where even, I think he catapulted that kid, Scooter Davis's career, just from being in camp with him. He was in camp and did a couple of videos with him. And next thing you know, everybody paying attention to him fight. I think he fought on the Matchroom card, stopped somebody, and then next thing you know, he signed the top rank.
And just when Greg Hackett had us focused on Tank's danger inside the ropes, Fernand zooms the camera all the way out and says this rumored Gervonta Davis versus Shakur Stevenson fight could expose who really matters in boxing when the bell hasn't even rung yet. And I get what he's driving at beneath all the smoke. Tank moves the meter. You can debate footwork, punch stats, mythical pound-for-pound spreadsheets, and who won a sparring session in 2019. But when Tank's name lands on a poster, people suddenly remember where their wallets are. That's rare air. Fernand keeps saying some folks won't want this fight to happen. And whether that's politics, business, fear, or just the usual boxing traffic jam, we've all seen mega fights delayed until they need reading glasses. Meanwhile, Shakur sits in that dangerous zone, where hardcore fans know he's elite, but superstardom still needs one signature night. This is that night. Beat Tank, and you don't just win belts, you win volume. Your phone never stops ringing again.
People talking about the fight for about a week and how great he is, and after that, it went right back into nobody talking about Shakur. Because Shakur Stevenson he's just not a big star. But he can be a big star if he fights somebody like Gervonta Davis. That's the ticket for him right there. Is the fight between him and the guy that's the most popular guy in that weight class, or anybody below Canelo Alvarez.
But let's not act like Tank is some stepping stone with chains on. He's the kind of opponent who can lose minutes and still steal the movie in 6 violent seconds. That changes how people negotiate, think, breathe. Fanon went full detective board with strings on the wall about money and influence, and I'm not chasing every theory, but one point hits clean. Boxing gets messy when business starts shadowboxing the actual fights. Fans want clarity, fighters want leverage, promoters want math. Chaos wins rounds every time. Still, strip away the noise and the matchup sells itself. Shakur's precision versus Tank's punishment, geometry versus thunder, patience versus panic. And here's the funniest part. Everybody says they want the best versus the best until it's time to sign the papers, then suddenly people discover timing issues. Convenient. So if this September rumor has real legs, stop talking around it and walk straight to the contract. Because some fights make champions. This one could make an era.
They want their fighters to be the ones that are generating the big money. They want their fighters to be the ones with the big crowds and all of that stuff. And they try to pour water on their competition. And they've been pouring their water on the competition for the PBC for like 10 years. So I'm really looking for this to come to a close. I'm looking for Gervonta Davis to start getting big fights. I'm looking for the PBC to start be able to sign fighters again as their reputation for being able to put on fights continue to grow.
So when you stack all of this together, it doesn't feel like just another fight rumor. It feels like a moment trying to happen. Gervonta Davis rebuilding himself with discipline, Timothy Bradley breaking down that patient, calculated danger, Greg Hackett reminding us Tank's presence alone shifts the entire sport, and then Fanon pulling back the curtain on how big this could be beyond just punches. Meanwhile, Shakur Stevenson is sitting there as the perfect opposite. Discipline versus explosiveness, control versus eruption, silence versus impact. That's not a regular matchup. That's tension waiting to explode. And here's where it gets real. This isn't about who's more skilled anymore. It's about who's willing to step into something risky while everything is on the line. Because if Tank really is evolving like it looks, and Shakur really wants that defining moment, then there's no safer version of this fight later. This is it, right here, right now. No excuses, no detours, no marinate it for 2 more years nonsense.
The guaranteed money is coming from very, very disreputable sources. Okay, and that money's not going to come anymore. You guys are going to have to start making money, actually making money in fights, actually selling tickets, not just having some crook buy a bunch of tickets off and allowing you to resell them at 100% profit. Like we don't know what you guys get into and what you guys are doing.
Now I'm throwing it to you. Who actually wins this if it happens at 140? Does Tank's power break through eventually, or does Shakur turn it into a long, frustrating night where nothing clean ever lands? And more importantly, does this fight actually happen, or are we about to watch boxing do what boxing does best and overthink itself out of greatness? Drop your take in the comments, let's really talk about it. And yo, don't ever forget to like, share, and subscribe to Boxing Headquarters. See you in the next one.